Good morning. We're going to be converting equations from standard form into y equals mx plus b form today. Pretty simple lesson actually. So if you haven't done so already, please do the minds on for lesson 4.4. Okay, so I know this isn't easy for some of you, the whole idea of working with formulas rather than variables with numbers. So let's see if we can do this one. So it says rearrange a over b minus d equals c for a, meaning isolate a. So we can see that we've got a and it's being divided by b, and it's also being having d subtracted from it, right? So the first thing we want to do is get rid of the d that's being subtracted. And so we're going to add d to both sides. Whoopsie. So this is going to be a over b minus d, and then we're going to just add d to get rid of it on this side. And of course, what we do to one side, we do to the other. So we're going to add d to this side. All right, so we get rid of that, and we're left with just, whoopsie, a over b equals c plus d. Well, now we have the problem that a is being divided by b, and so the opposite operation of division is multiplication. So we are going to multiply both sides of this equation by b in order to get rid of the divided by b part. So this is a over b. So here's b times a over b is equal to b times this whole thing, which is just c plus d. All right, so how does that look when we simplify it? Well, the b's cancel, and we're just left with a on this side, which was what we wanted. And here we have bc plus bd. We would give this in simplified form, so we would multiply b times c and b times d. Okay? All right, I know that's tough, and really the all you can do for these is just practice, practice, practice. All right, so let's start the the lesson then, please. So standard form is ax plus by plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are whole numbers, not fractions, and a is positive. So each of these is standard form. So what we want to do is write it in slope y-intercept form instead of standard form, and we want to state then the slope and the y-intercept. So if we want it in slope y-intercept form, that's like y equals mx plus b form, remember? We want the y by itself. So how do we get the y by itself? Well, anything on that side with the y has to get moved to the other side using the opposite operations. So we're going to take the x and the 3 and put them on the other side. So we've got an x, and we're going to remove an x. We've got minus y. We have to keep that. And we've got 3, and we're going to remove the 3. And then on the other side, of course, we have equals 0. But we had subtracted x, and we subtracted 3, so we have to do that on this side as well. So minus x minus 3. All right, so when we simplify all this, we have minus y over here, right? The 3's cancel, the x's cancel, but the sign in front of the y stays. So we've got minus y equals minus x minus, minus x minus 3. And we need it to be y equals mx plus b, so I have to divide both sides through now by negative 1. Now, this simplifies to y, and this simplifies if you divide each of the terms by minus 1. Minus x divided by minus 1 is just x, and minus 3 divided by minus 1 is plus 3. And remember, I talked yesterday about if you wanted to get rid of the negative in the bottom, you had to bring it to the top and then multiply each term by that negative. So you could think of it as negative times a negative is a positive, and a negative times a negative again is a positive here. All right, so let's do the next one. We've got 3x plus 3y minus 6. So I'm going to do it slightly differently this time. I'm just going to talk about, instead of doing the subtracting on both sides, I'm just going to talk about it as though we're bringing each of those terms to the other side. So if we have 3x on this side and we bring it to the other side, that becomes minus 3x, right? And if we bring the minus 6 to the other side, it changes sign and it becomes plus 6, okay? So that's, I'm just taking sort of a step forward here, and we're not going to do some of this minusing for a couple of examples. All right, and then we still have to divide everything through, all terms. So we can divide like this if we want to divide each term kind of separately instead of writing a big line like I did here. I'm just going to divide each of the terms by that 3. All right, and so when I do that, I'm going to end up with just y on this side. And, oopsie, I don't understand why it's that color. Y equals, and then negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1, which we don't write, we just write negative x. And then plus 6 divided by 3 is plus 2. Oh, I forgot to state the slope and y-intercept, so why don't we do all 3 of them and then we'll go back and state the slope and y-intercept. So again, this one, we want to move the x over and the minus 1 over, and we want to leave the minus y on this side. So minus y equals, when I move the x across the equal sign, it becomes negative x. When I move the negative 1 across the equal sign, it becomes positive 1. And then I'm going to just divide through both sides by negative 1. So negative 1 here, negative 1 here. So this would become positive y equals positive x. Negative divided by a negative is a positive, and then a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So the slope, remember m for slope, of this one is the number in front of the x, it's 1, and the y-intercept is just the number beside the x, in this case 3. The slope over here is the number in front of the x, which is negative 1, and the number beside the x, which is 2. The slope here is going to be 1, and the y-intercept b is negative 1. Okay, so that's just rearranging into slope y-intercept form, whoopsie, from standard form. Oh, that's the whole page. Let's go to the next page. All right, so it says for the equation 2x minus y plus 4 equals 0, make a table of values and graph the equation. Well, it's much easier to make a table of values when you have the equation in y equals mx plus b form. So that's what we're going to do first. So we're going to take the minus y, we're going to take the 2x and the 4 and move it to the other side. So this is going to be minus 2x and minus 4. But remember, can't be just minus y. So we're going to divide everything through by minus 1. So we end up with y equals 2x plus 4. And now I can make a table of values. And remember, when I'm making a table of values, I get to pick the values for x. And because I can see on my table I have negative x values and I have positive x values, why don't I just use a variety? So negative 2, 0, 2, 3, and 4. How about that? So negative 2, when I sub negative 2 in for x, I'm going to get negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. When I put in 0 for x, this becomes 0, and I get 4. When I have 2 for x, I get 8. 2 times 2 plus 4. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 4 is 10. Oh, I'm not going to have, those values are just going to be way off the charts, I can tell. And then 2 times 4 plus 4 is 12. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and plot minus 2 and 0, 0 and 4, And then the rest of them are off the charts. If I had done -4, -4 times 2 is -8, -8 plus 4 is -4. So I could have done -4, -4 as well. And then if I join these points, I'm going to get a nice line here. Just go past. And I'm going to put arrows on the end. Oopsie. Sorry about that. I'm going to put arrows here. Let's go past. There we go. And I should label 2 points. So I've got the point -2, 0. And I could label the point 0, 4 as well. And I know my equation. My equation is y equals 2x plus 4. Or I could have put in the original equation up here. Okay. It says, oh, gee whiz, my computer's very sensitive tonight. Sorry. It says identify the slope and the y-intercept. So I will identify that. The slope is, I already rewrote it in slope y-intercept form, so I know the slope is 2, or I could have just done my usual triangle here from the graph and counted up 1, 2, 3, 4, up 4 and over 2. So up 4 and over 2 would be, the slope is 4 over 2, which of course is just 2. I can see that the number in front of the x is 2. And my y-intercept, again, from my graph, I can see that my y-intercept is at 4, where it crosses, right, the y-axis. So I'm going to put in b equals 4. I also could have looked here at my equation in slope y-intercept form. Okay. It says rewrite the equation in slope y-intercept form. Well, I already did that to begin with because I find it easier to generate a table of values from that form. So I'm just going to rewrite it like that. Okay. Oopsie. This one's already done. I'll just clear it. All right. So it says the line 6x plus 8y plus c equals 0 passes through the point 2, 4. Determine the value of c. So I know that 6x plus 8y plus c equals 0, and I know that x is the 2, so 6 times 2 plus 8 times 4 plus c equals 0. So I have 12 plus 12 plus c equals 0. I have 24 plus c equals 0. I have c equals -24. Yeah, that's the easiest way to do that one. All right. The movie theater charges $5 for children and $10 for adults for one movie. Write an equation to represent the total ticket sales. T represents total ticket sales in dollars, and C represents the number of child tickets sold, and A represents the number of adult tickets sold. All right, so total ticket sales, T, are going to be the number of tickets, child tickets sold, which is C, times however much you're charging for them, which is $5. So 5 times C plus $10 times the number of adult tickets sold. Okay, so that's the equation that represents the total sales. Let's move on. 5C plus 10A. What is T if 40 child tickets and 60 child tickets were sold? All right, so we had an equation T equals 5C plus 10A. So we're being told that 40 child tickets were sold, so that's C. And 60 adult tickets were sold. So this is going to be 200 plus 600, and T would then be $800. Therefore, $800 in ticket sales. Results. All right, next one, it says rearrange the equation to isolate C. How many child tickets were sold if the total sales was 2,500 and 150 adult tickets were sold? So we've got that. Let's just start with our equation again. We had 5C plus 10A, and we need to isolate for C. So I'll leave the C on this side, and I'm going to bring the 10A to the other side, which means it's going to become minus 10A. And then I have to divide through by the 5 to get C by itself. So I'm going to divide this whole thing by 5. All right, so that means I end up with C equals 10T minus 10A, over 5. All right, so now I've got my equation isolated, and now I'm going to try and solve for the number of child tickets sold, that's C, if the total sales T was 2,500 and the number of tickets, adult tickets, was 150. So T is going to be 2,500 minus 10 times A, which is 150, all over 5. And that's going to equal C. And C doesn't have to be on this side. You could have moved it over here if you were comfortable with that. That's fine. So 2,500 minus 1,500 all over 5 is equal to C. And, oh goodness, sorry. Oh, I keep doing that, and I'm so sorry. Not sure what's going on. So now, 2,500 minus 1,500 is 1,000. 1,000 divided by 5 is 200. So C equals 200. Therefore, 200 child tickets were sold. Yeah. All right. It says rearrange the equation to isolate A. Find the number of adult tickets sold if total sales were 3,500 and 250 child tickets were sold. So again, we're going to go back to our equation, which was T equals 5C plus 10A. This time we're going to isolate for A. So I'm going to have T minus 5C equals 10A. And I'm going to divide through by 10 on both sides. Just divide the whole thing. I think it's easier if we just divide the whole thing. And so we end up here with A equals T minus 5C over 10. Now we'll just sub in what we know. We know that the total sales were 3,500, so that's the T. And we know that 250 child tickets were sold, so I'm going to put that in where the C is. I've got this all divided by 10, and that's going to equal the number of adult tickets. So 3,500 minus 1,250. All over 10 is equal to A. All right, so this is what, 2,250 divided by 10 equals A, and that equals 225. I'm just going to extend that. So A equals 225. Therefore, 225 adult tickets are sold. All right, I do believe that's all. That's pretty straightforward. Good. So please do your consolidate now for 4.4. This is our last lesson of the chapter. So we're going to be having a chapter test next week. So please, right now, do the consolidate for 4.4, and then do your textbook work for 4.4. Textbook 4.4. It should be on your handout. Thank you. Bye-bye.